Hello everyone, this is part 32 of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Madara Uchiha was never one to sulk and moan. That being said, Madara was always one to rage, destroy and then correct when he was bested in combat. When he returned to his hideout, he had ripped through a couple hundred white zetsu before his anger was sated. It then took him another week to recover from the wounds he gained during the battle. During his recovery, he stewed over being beaten so soundly. He knew that his Sage mode was nothing in comparison to the Senju boys. He knew that the Senju's techniques naturally countered his own and his Sharingan, Rinnegan weren't enough to compensate for the difference in strength. He knew that his raw chakra reserves were less than a quarter of his opponent's. That last thought made him remember feeling other yokai than that of the Kyuubi. Then he remembered the boy flying in air and his genius mind linked the couple data points he had together rapidly. The Senju child had the Nanabi and Kyuubi dwelling within his body. Two of the strongest Biju. Madara knew that he had few choices left for him and he began forming his plan. It took a month for Madara to safely transition the Gedo Mizo into a seal on his body. It took him 2 more months for that power to integrate into his system and Madara admitted to himself that he felt much stronger. With his own increased chakra reserves, he was able to absorb more natural energy and his Sage mode was stronger. Madara still admitted that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was stronger than him, but that was his only opponent in the shinobi world. Zetsu, I have successfully absorbed the 3, 4 and 6 tails. Where are the Jinchuriki currently? Madara asked. Black Zetsu spoke before his idiot white half could. The 8 tails is in Kumo, the 1 and 2 tails are most likely in Konoha, the 5 tails should have reformed by now, but we have not felt the beast since its death. And the boy has the 7 and 9 tails. Tell me, Zetsu, have you felt the 5 tails yokai since that day? No, Lord Madara. According to our best knowledge, the reformation process generally takes the number of years equal to number of tails. Black Zetsu said seriously, which was the norm for the wool of Kaguya. Madara HMPHD before responding, well, if I wish to equal the Senju boy in terms of Biju power, then the only option is to go for the 8 tails. The others are either near the boy or in unknown locations. Once I have the 8 tails, I will be able to subdue the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and Project Infinite Tsukuyomi will be within reach. Yes, you fool, Zetsu thought. Just a little more and Mother will be resurrected, and the pathetic mortals will return their stolen chakra. Senju Compound, 3.5 months after Madara's attack on Konoha. Naruto was doing his favorite thing in the world, he was hanging out with his wives, children and family. Tsunade was now super pregnant and on the downhill to giving birth to something miraculous. Kurama was excited waiting on the twins and the family was rallying around the matriarch of the Senju clan. Tsunade's pregnancy didn't stop the family from enjoying their favorite pastime and they were doing just that while teasing the newest member. So, Shion, my girl, how was he in your humble opinion? Rias asked while wiggling her eyebrows, which made Shion shelter deeper into Naruto's chest. Oh please, Riri, Anko said through giggles, the way she was limping around this morning and the fact that she went to see Hinata first thing in the morning tells us all we need to know. While Naruto's girls were giggling and Shion was whimpering into his chest, Naruto growled at the 2 rowdy lesbians. Enough, you two. Have some decency. Temari giggled and pulled her clone into AK, oh, relax, my love. You know those 2 don't know the definition of decency. Samui added on as her clone shifted her on its lap and ran its hands up and down her thighs. Anhesis of decency. This made Rias put a hand to her chest in mock hurt and Anko shot a pouty face at Samui. Tsunade decided to get her piece in, different strokes for different folks. So, Shion, was he everything you were hoping for? Shion blushed furiously as her head mimicked an overheated thermometer and her head nodded slowly into his chest, which made the group laugh, cheer and drink. Before the processions could continue, Naruto and his clones say bolt upright with faraway looks in their eyes. This immediately drew everyone's attention and then Naruto's tablet started vibrating and glowing red, was the collective thought of everyone present. Naruto opened the tablet and a panicked Mabui was visible on the screen. Naruto, Madara's is here. Raikage and be fighting him. Please come. Naruto growled and looked to Kurama and Chome, who were already walking over to return to the seal and give his yokai back. Okay, we are on our way. How long have they been fighting? 10 minutes. The Raikage told me not to call you, but it isn't looking good and Darui told me to call you. Mabui said in a panic. Got it, Mabui. Stay calm. I will be there in a flash. Naruto hung up the tablet and looked to the group. Girls, you are staying. Tell Itachi what just happened. I am going. Tsunade grabbed his arm. You fight strong, and you fight smart, do you understand me? Naruto nodded and allowed Tsunade to pull him into a hug. She whispered in his ear, you keep him safe, Q and Cho. Don't worry, Mama. If I can't win, then I will retreat. Naruto said with a confident smile on his face. He allowed his clones to give his goodbye K before he pressed a seal on his right shoulder. His civilian clothes disappeared in a cloud of smoke and his battle uniform appeared in a snug fit. His combat vest was a forest green with burnt orange lining with 12 sealing pockets holding scrolls on the front. His long-sleeve shirt was burnt orange with the joint clan symbol on the shoulders. The joint clan symbol was the red Uzumaki swirl with 2 crossed Senju symbols in the whirlpool. His pants were black with burnt orange lining and went down into black combat boots with burnt orange laces. Naruto let Ino develop his uniform and she conceded to Naruto that burnt orange was a much better ninja color than the vibrant orange of his previous life. The overall aesthetic was pretty cool and very unique, especially when he added the haori over the back that carried the emblem of Kurama with the joint clan symbol on Kurama's chest. The fully equipped Naruto rattled off a cheeky salute before disappearing in a golden flash. Tsunade jumped into leader mode and began issuing orders to her family, who had all sobered up rapidly. They all thanked Tsunade for teaching them that jutsu. Gaara went to call his father and notify Suna, Hinata called Kiri and Yami called Wave. Anko went to report to Itachi, the girls went to notify the clan heads and the children were taken to the safe room by Hikari. The Senju compound knew better than anyone the threat the children were under in Naruto's absence. Chaos in the clouds. I was huffing as he worked alongside his brother to fight against the legendary shinobi. Madara showed up at B's mountainside home, temple, training ground and he tripped the alarm seals. I was able to blast, kick, punch and obliterate his way through the army of white Zetsu that tried to stop him. He told his shinobi to engage the threat and rushed towards the sound of battle that were echoing through the mountains. He arrived to see B's, a Kurobuto style, the 7-blade wielding style, defeated by Madara. As B's final sword was severed, I launched a lightning lariat into the side of Madara's neck. The arm was halted by an ethereal blue ribcage, but the momentum was enough to send Madara flying back nearly 300 feet. I saw B transition into his fighting position and the AB combo was ready to go and fight the legendary Uchiha. I told Mabui to hold off on requesting reinforcements. We should be enough to handle this guy. I said confidently as he fixed his eyes on Madara's torso. B forewent his rapping to notify his brother of the current situation. Bro, Gyuki says he cannot come out. He can sense the Gedo Mazo in Madara, and those eyes would be able to pull him out. He has a Rinnegan and Sharingan and he beat me easily in Kenjutsu. I knew it was deadly serious when B wasn't rapping, and he immediately encased himself in lightning armor. Combo 3, brother. Madara scoffed as he watched the brothers talk. You two are nothing compared to my main target. If you surrender the Hachibi to me, I will spare your village its destruction. If you continue this fight, I will destroy your village as retribution. I growled, I am not giving my brother or his partner to you. Kumo will rise and eliminate the threat to the world. That's right, fool ya fool, I will not die before I even try. I am Killer B, Jinchuriki of the mighty Hachibi. B roared as he charged into a flanking position. B and I fought a losing battle that scaled up over the next 10 minutes. Madara was eventually forced to enter his yokai cloak which flamed violently over his personage. The flames represented the fact that the yokai was wild and not properly synchronized, but it was still a massive power-up. As the two brothers fought on the back foot and Darui led the shinobi against the horde of white Zetsu, Naruto arrived in Kumo's cage tower since that was where the Horatian beacon was. Mabui, SITREP. Naruto said in a commanding tone as he entered GSM. Main forces are led by Darui and fighting White Zetsu. Reikage is at B's training ground. Yugito is in safe house with your seals, and she is not happy. Mabui snapped out. I can feel the Reikage and B's Haration seals now. I am heading there. Keep the teleporter up. Reinforcements should arrive shortly. Naruto said before vanishing in a golden flash. Mabui offered a quick prayer to Kami before going to the command room and coordinating Ai's forces as he fought against Madara. Naruto arrived in a golden flash to a horrifying scene. Ai was missing his left arm and there was a wound over his heart that was cauterized as Ai forced his lightning armor to crackle into existence again. He looked over to the clash as saw an ethereal chakra trail linking Madara and B. He blurred into motion in a streak of gold, and he crashed a mountain breaker palm into Madara's shoulder. Madara was surprised by the arrival of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and he was distracted by the chakra tug of war. He wasn't able to sever the connection in time and was forced to absorb the most painful blow that cracked through his emerging Susanoo protection effortlessly. This time, Madara didn't simply fly a couple hundred feet. He was sent careening into the base of a mountain after skipping violently off the ground a couple of times. The enormous crater in the mountain that sent dust flying into the sky was the testament to the strength of Naruto's blow. With a moment to breathe, Naruto created 2 wood clones to tend to Ai and B. He also created 10 more that went to assist Kumo's forces against the White Zetsu clones. And just like that, the time he bought with his first strike was used before he felt a large flare of yokai and senjutsu chakra. Madara's perfect Susanoo emerged in the mountain ranges of Kumo and it sprouted wings from its back as senjutsu markings began combining with the yokai to encase the Susanoo and make it stronger. With Madara, Black Zetsu was in the sleeve of his cloak and the creature spoke in an imploring fashion to his creator, Lord Madara, he is still too much for you. This statement was ignored as Madara ordered his Susanoo into the sky. Naruto growled as his opponent used his cursed eyes and stolen power to threaten the people Naruto loved. Naruto knew that this Madara wasn't on the same level as when he was in his Biju mode, but Naruto could feel the yokai of Kurama's siblings trapped in Madara. Ruto, he sealed the Gedo Mazo, Isabu, Son Goku and Saiken into himself. I can feel all of their chakras. Kurama informed him through the mind link. Naruto synchronized with his 2 Biju partners and a flaming golden blur raced through the sky towards the massive Susanoo construct. Naruto focused chakra into his fist and threw it forward with a roar as his fist grew with Mokuton chakra like an Akamaiki expansion jutsu. By the time the Mokuton fist slammed into the Susanoo, it was nearly the size of one of the hands of the true several thousand hands jutsu Naruto had showed off in his duel against the Reikage. The impact of Susanoo's swords and the Mokuton fist sent a shockwave through the air that tore through the mountain ranges of Kumo like a violent tempest. Madara was surprised when his Susanoo's momentum was reversed, and he was sent flying into the same mountain he just pulled himself out of. Since Naruto remained airborne, he soared into the sky in an attempt to recreate Sage Arts, Wrath of Heaven and Earth. With the amount of power radiating through the mountains, Madara was able to sense where Naruto was as easily as he could track the sun on a cloudless day. That didn't stop Madara's eyes from widening when he saw a sky dragon descending upon his position. Madara's Rinnegan flared to life, and he poured the potent yokai into the jutsu as he roared out with Susanoo's hands extended with a Shinra Tensei. The sky dragon clashed against the gravitational wave and the resulting wind gale was about 10 times stronger than the previous mid-air clash. The nearby mountains were torn asunder by the devastating winds and Naruto was sent flying high into the sky while the downward draft nearly flattened Madara's Susanoo. Madara was panting from the effort of the jutsu and sustaining his Susanoo's new form. That didn't stop his heart from racing and his mind from embracing the battle mania that he cherished so much. Madara's Susanoo bent its legs and launched into the sky at terrifying speeds to where it could feel his opponent. Naruto righted himself mid-air somewhere near the lower stratosphere and he breathed rapidly as the air thinned and went cold. Without his protective yokai cloak, it is likely that he would have frozen over. However, cold air has nothing on the potent power of the yokai cloak. Naruto hovered momentarily and began gathering momentum as he sensed Madara's ascension. Do we have anything that can punch through the Susanoo? Naruto thought internally. Biju Rasengan. Kurama offered. It's kind of our signature move, after all. That sounds exciting. We need to be careful though, we are still too close to Kumo. Chomei offered. Naruto decided to accept Kurama's opinion and he began condensing the yokai in his palm and spinning it rapidly as he descended down into the richer air of the lower atmosphere. Once he had it controlled, he focused on condensing the yokai even further rather than making it bigger. His brow wrinkled in concentration as he flew towards the massive blue form of Susanoo. Seems like Madara wanted to keep the fight in midair to negate his advantage with Mokuton. Madara felt the wild flare of yokai, and he saw the potent jutsu held in the senju's hand. Even he was wary of such a jutsu, but his momentum combined with the speed of his opponent made the clash unavoidable. Madara focused his four swords of Susanoo into one and he encased them in the flames of Amaterasu. With his attack point made, he surged chakra to the Susanoo's wings and soared faster towards his opponent. Naruto saw the potent technique and had flashbacks of him and Sasuke clashing their strongest jutsus together time and time again in a test of strength. Rather than taking that approach, Naruto was going to fight smarter this time around. That was why he had a second chance, after all. Naruto focused on using the wings to guide his plummet towards Mother Earth and he dodged around the flames of Amaterasu while four Mokuton chains slammed into the side of the swords, pushing them further off their path. Naruto swerved around the blades and Naruto had milliseconds to aim his attack at the jewel on the head of the Susanoo. The bid Rasengan clashed briefly against the protective jewel before the jewel started cracking before shattering completely. Madara wasn't a legendary shinobi for nothing as his instincts guided him to ditch ship and he dove out of the way and used his Rinnegan to fly away from the immense explosion that was caused by the Rasengan detonating in the Susanoo. Naruto let go of the Rasengan inside the Susanoo, which caused it to destabilize and detonate. Naruto flashed away to the Hiraishin beacon that he could still feel on Gyuki. The size of the explosion deceptively belied the size of the Rasengan as the explosion appeared like a nuke that detonated nearly a mile above the peaks of the mountains. As the sky was torn asunder, it let the earth feel its wrath as devastating winds peeled away at the stalwart crusts of the earth. Anything that was on the surface was shredded and flattened while the underlayer of the earth that had been denied sunlight for decades was exposed. Madara was too close to the point of impact and explosion as it detonated. His vision erupted in a brilliant white despite the concentrated yokai and protection of Susanoo. Madara was sent rag-dolling through the air for miles and miles since the explosion had rendered him unconscious. Even Black Zetsu was useless as the parasite clung to Madara's skin for dear existence. He watched from the ground with his jaw dropped before a tired Gyuki rallied him to provide shelter for his brother's body. With Madara no longer near, Gyuki took his Biju form and protected his dear brother. With Darui, the order to erect defenses came just in time to shelter his men from the violent winds with a variety of water and stone walls. After the first disturbance caused by the winds, the 500-strong force of Kumo's quick reaction force had broken contact with the White Zetsu and relied on Naruto's clones to hunt out the infiltrating plant people. All were forced to stop what they were doing as the brief, but violent clash between Madara and Naruto demanded their attention. 3 waves of wind and chunks of earth, each one stronger and more violent than the next, slammed into the mountain battlefield of Kumo versus the Zetsu army. In between each wind gale, the shinobi and Zetsu watched transfixed as a nearly godly battle ensued in the skies over Kumo's mountains. The Kumo shinobi watched in reverence as their ally fought against the boogeyman of the shinobi world past and present in order to protect Kumo. The Zetsu were distracted by the overflowing natural energy that saturated the Kumo mountains. Mabui watched from the Reikage Tower after the first gale of wind shattered the windows of the Reikage Tower. She held her hands over her mouth as she saw the first wave of reinforcements arrive from the teleportation tower. Konoha was the first to arrive and the teleportation tower flashed 4 times total. That meant 40 shinobi of Konoha were present and Kumo needed to recharge the tower amidst the raging battle. Shisui, the rookies, and many other Konoha shinobi watched another series of miraculous events take place in the sky over Kumo. Unfreaking believable, Hana Inuzuka whispered in a stunned reverence as she stood next to her boyfriend. That isn't something men were meant to do, Genma whispered as his senbon clattered to the ground. Shisui shook his head and chuckled as his M's circled animatedly in his eyes to absorb the far-off battle. That's just Naruto. Shisui clapped his hands and broke the entranced state of his troops. All right, focus people, we are here to help evacuate and defend our allies. A bolt officer dropped next to Shisui. We have evacuated the lower mountain and the western peak. We need your help on the eastern peak, and we will send the next wave to mid-mountain. Who do you have recharging the chakra battery? Shisui asked. Yugito insisted on doing it since we are barring her from joining the battle, the officer replied. Very well. Genma, take squad 1. Hana squad 2, Kotetsu take squad 3 and squad 4 is with me. Shisui shouted out his order. Kotetsu, in his new and shiny Jonin vest, turned to his squad and did everything he could to hold back the excitement in his voice. This was so much better than gate guard duty. Alright, let's move out. Kotetsu ignored the crack in his voice as he shouted his order and followed on Bolt Shinobi to his sector. Madara regained consciousness while flying through the sky and he could see droplets of blood hovering in a rapidly disappearing trail as he plummeted through the skies at astonishing speeds. He shook out the cobwebs and cleared his head as his M's flared back to life. A much smaller and weaker Sasano formed around his rag-dolling figure, and he was able to stabilize his flight and slow his momentum. He hovered a couple hundred feet over the earth and was glad that he regained consciousness in time to avoid a devastating clash with the earth. Naruto broke his eyes away from the skyline as Madara left his detecting range. That meant that Madara was at least 100 miles away and somewhere in Iwa. As his thoughts cleared and he brought his senses back to around him, he processed the panicked screams of B that was shaking his brother. Naruto was instantly at B's side and his hands were glowing a defiant gold as he did what he could to revive the wreckage. B watched through teary eyes as his ally and brother in burden tried to heal his brother. B was still in denial, he couldn't accept what his senses were telling him. After sheltering his brother from the devastating effects of the clash against Madara, B knew that his brother was no longer here. His heart had stopped beating and the chakra had ceased moving in his system. It wasn't Naruto's fault, there were limitations to what even he could do. Naruto struggled to focus and steady the chakra in his hands. He too was in a state of denial, he didn't want to lose a precious person and the images of Samui crying haunted his thoughts and distracted his chakra. He denied the feeling of ice-stilled chakra and the lack of a beating heart. He forced his chakra into the Raikage's body and forced the wound over his heart to repair itself. The cauterized wound to the heart began to turn a fleshy red and the charcoal-like singed flesh disappeared. Despite that, and microshocks to the heart, the Raikage's body refused to accept the life-giving chakra. Without a soul to anchor it to his body, it was like pushing water through a leaky container. The Zetsu army retreated into the ground once Madara was sent flying since their purpose had been fulfilled. Hundreds of their clone brethren lay scattered over the uneven terrain of Kumo's mountains and their chakra will return to the earth forgotten and unwanted. The Kumo force held in their cheers and darted to provide relief to B and their Raikage. It took them mere minutes to find the devastated battleground and they all froze when they saw Naruto hovering over their Raikage with B leaking tears by his side. Naruto refused to accept the reality of the situation. Tears of defiance and frustration fell from his eyes and evaporated under the intense influence of his chakra. The cloak glowed vibrantly in the dark mountains as the Kyuubi Jinchuriki did everything he could to defy the natural order. It wasn't until Darui walked over and placed a calming hand on Naruto's shoulder that Naruto was broken from his single-minded task. Naruto looked up with a snarl on his face that instantly dissipated when he saw the pained visage of Darui. Naruto's chakra cloak fizzled out and he sank to his knees in despair as his ears refused to hear the comforting reassurances offered by his partners and allies. Naruto absently trailed the procession of Kumo shinobi that carried the Raikage's lifeless body back to Kumo. His tears grew in frequency and intensity as the wails of the shinobi on Kumo's walls entered his ears. His connection to nature resonated with the overwhelming despair of a village losing its leader. His guilt grew and his heart throbbed as his body natural converted the despair to a will to defy all. His visage hardened and he instinctively did something that momentarily horrified the Kumo shinobi before it gifted him a sense of peace and acceptance. Naruto caught up to the Kumo shinobi and took some of the blood off of the Raikage's combat uniform. The procession halted and silence encompassed the front gates of Kumo as Naruto flickered into GSM and went through hand seals. A wood clone sprouted and once the hand seals were finished the clone was surrounded by paper and ash before the Raikage was standing in the presence of his shinobi and village. I didn't know how long he was drifting, but he knew that he hadn't made it to the pure world that Naruto had talked to him about. Suddenly, he felt a pull, and before he knew it, the familiar view of Kumo was in front of him and he could see all of the men and women he loved with all of his heart. He turned his head to the golden figure and saw a sad look on his face. Amidst the eerie silence, he turned around and saw his men holding his dead body. This instantly made him snap back to Naruto with a look on his face that said, "Explain, brat. I fought off Madara, but I couldn't save you." Ai's eyes fell in understanding, and he clapped a massive hand on Naruto's shoulder before he continued. I wanted to give you a chance to say goodbye." Ai removed his hand from Naruto's shoulder and pulled the young man's chin up. "Thank you, Ruto. Thank you for giving me this chance." Ai dropped Naruto's chin and turned to address his shinobi. He idly noted that there was Suna, Kiri and Konoha shinobi present as well. He closed his eyes and sorted his thoughts before he began his final address. "My fellow shinobi, do not cry for me. I look around and I see the proud men and women of Kumo standing side by side with their allies. I see something never before seen in our world. I see an alliance of nations that are committed to bringing the world into a new age. It fills my soul with joy to see this, and it was my greatest honor to serve you and our people with all I had." I paused here and wiped tears from his eyes as siffles erupted from the stoic shinobi watching. "I want you to take heart and steel your courage for the trials to come. Do not deviate from the good path we have been walking on because of my death. Fight this fight and come out victorious on the other side. Find strength in your allies, take heart in the bonds of friendship and love, and do not let the good work we have done so far be for nothing. I trust Darui of Kumo to lead you into this new age of peace, and I name him my successor." The sobbing halted at this pronouncement, and a reverent silence fell over the thousands watching as Darui, Mabui, B and Yugito moved forward. Darui dropped to a knee in front of the raikage and his shoulders were bouncing arrhythmically as choked sobs tore from his chest, heart and throat. The other three took positions behind Darui and placed comforting hands on the kneeling man's shoulders. I placed a comforting hand on Daru's head and ruffled his white hair a bit. "Darui, I chose you because I trust you implicitly. I know this will be a drag, but you are the right man for the job. Protect my family and my village. Protect this alliance and trust your heart to guide you. I, the fourth raikage of Kumogakure, name you the fifth raikage and entrust our people to you." Ai's tone was soft and reverent, but it carried such a durable strength that it halted the sobs that were tearing through Darui. Darui sniffled one last time and cleared the snot from his nose before looking up to Ai with a fiery resolve in his eyes. "I accept, Lord Raikage. Thank you for everything. You were, and always will be family to me." Ai ruffled Daru's hair and turned his gaze to Mabui before he pulled her into a tender hug. "I am sorry, my love. I didn't want to leave you alone like this." Mabui buried her head into Ai's chest. "You stubborn idiot." She pulled herself further into the hulking form of Ai, who wrapped his arms around her. "I love you." I tenderly pushed her away from him, lifted her chin and placed a tender K on her lips. "I love you too. I will wait for you on the other side." Mabui once again buried herself in Ai's chest as the raikage addressed his brother. He held out a bent arm and clasped fists with B. "Fool ya fool. It just ain't cool." B sniffled before growing serious. "I am going to miss you, brother. Rest easy, I will protect Kumo while you sleep." I gave an appreciative look to his brother. "I know you will. Help the brat here defeat that fossil and find a good woman, B. That is all I want for you. Be happy." B nodded as tears once again poured out of his eyes. "I will, bro. Go say hello to Lady Kami, tell her to wait for me, because no man can compare to Killer B of Kumo, we." I chuckled resignedly before unclasping his hand from B's before turning a softer look to Yugito. "You know, kiddo, I am so proud of you. You overcame so much and grew into a stunning woman. I want you to know that I count you among my family, you and that crazy kitty inside you." Yugito wiped away her tears and joined Mabui in hugging the raikage. The tender sight broke hearts and wrung tears out of every viewer present. Yugito stifled her sniffling and raised her head to address her raikage and honorary father, uncle. "Thank you, Lord Raikage. Thank you so much, for everything, I love you." I ruffled Yugito's hair with a caring smile on his face. "I won't let you down. I know, kiddo. I know you won't. I will be looking down on you, so just look after my knucklehead brother and help Darui run things." Ai's deep and soft voice rumbled through his chest and reverberated through Yugito. After breaking the hug, I gave Mabui another K and gave everyone a final look. As shouts of adoration and grawd poured out from those on the walls of Kumo, I turned to Naruto. With a grateful look, I nodded to Naruto with a peaceful smile on his face. Thank you, Naruto. I will say hi to your old man for you. Naruto chuckled, please do. Give my mom a hug from me while you're at it. Rest easy, I will help preserve all you have built. With that, Naruto undid his version of the impure world resurrection, and let Ai's soul find rest among the heroes of Kami's realm. The rest of the procession to the Raikage's tower was somber, but there was a firm resolve present in the sadness. It was no longer overwhelming, rather, it was reverent and respectful. As Ai's body was taken to a safe place, Kumo rallied itself to reinforce defenses and get their feet back under themselves. It was a long and somber night, but the second major clash between Madara and the Allied forces set things in motion that could no longer be halted. Plans for the end. Ai's funeral was held a week after Madara's attack on Kumo. Shinobi from all over the Allied nations arrived in Kumo to pay their respects. It was a solemn event that served to demonstrate the will of the alliance despite the strength of the enemy. The speeches commemorating Ai, and his reign as the fourth Raikage, were given by the leaders of Kumo as well as Samui. They told stories of Ai's will to protect the people of Lightning Country, and they shared parts of his journey to change his dream into a will to better the elemental nations as a whole. The funeral and the speeches were broadcasted throughout Lightning Country, and the will of the people was galvanized against the threat that Madara Uchiha represented. The foreign shinobi present shared the message with their own people. Some of the smaller nations also heard the message and began to think of coming to the table to offer their support. The result of Madara's attempt to gain power by attacking Kumo resulted in the whole of the Allied forces knowing the stakes that they were fighting for. Naruto returned to Konoha with the Senju clan, and the atmosphere was somber. As Senjusta, they gathered in the Senju garden and shared a drink in honor of Ai. They comforted Samui by offering their perspective on the fond times in Kumo, and they listened to Samui share her memories of the former Raikage and the impact Ai had on her life. Samui's cheeks were flush, and she was giggling a bit. You know, Mabui told me that the Raikage cost Kumo almost $200,000 in building repairs last year. She sipped on some more sake in the lap of her lover. He always let his excitement get the best of him, and I will always remember how he would jump out of the Raikage tower or smash his fists together in excitement or crush his desk in frustration. Samui trailed off and leaned her head into Naruto's chest. Naruto rested his head on top of Samui's own in a comforting manner. He was a good man. His eccentricities made him unique and amazing. How is B holding up? Tsunade asked tenderly. Samui frowned a bit. He is blaming himself. He has sworn not to rap until Madara has been dealt with. It is strange seeing him so somber and serious. Rias adjusted the passed-out Kushina in her lap and added, yeah, Yugito is taking it hard too. She was so mad that she was kept out of the fight, and then her anger turned to despair when I died. Naruto frowned a bit and pulled Samui closer. I am going to hunt him. I am done letting him hit and run. How? Yami asked seriously. He had been cuddling into Tayuya, but he sat up bolt straight when he heard Naruto say that. I marked him. Naruto said under his breath. Come again. Everyone was thinking, but it was Tsunade that said it. When I arrived in the fight, during my first shot on him placed a Horatian marker on his shoulder. He may be able to hide his own chakra, but if I am close enough, then I will be able to feel that marker. If he is hiding in Iwa, then it should be the only one in that country. Naruto informed the group. Ruto, did you tell this to Itachi or the other Kage? Tsunade asked seriously, and everyone was now in business mode. Not yet, Naruto admitted. I don't know if I want to involve them in this fight. Gaki, you aren't in this alone. Anko said fiercely. I am not letting you fight against Madara, Obito, and whoever else he has alone either. Temari growled passionately. As Naruto began holding up his hands, Ino added to the assault, Ruto, no way. There is no way we will let you go alone. Naruto sighed, forgive me. I am not strong enough. This caused everyone to pause before he admitted, I am not strong enough to lose you, even one of you, I couldn't. Each girl pulled their clone or original into a comforting and passionate hug, but it was the matriarch of the family that spoke up, and that is the same for us, brat. You built up this family, you gathered allies, now is the time to use them. This statement from Tsunade earned a passionate affirmation from every member gathered in the Senju Gardens, even Shikamaru. Naruto relented. Fine, I will ask Itachi to call a cage meeting for tomorrow. Mama, I know you want in, but you need to focus on the baby. If I let my family come, then we need you to hold down the fort. Tsunade growled and crossed her arms under her bust and over her baby belly. Fine, brat. If you die, I am getting Kami to revive you so that I can kill you myself. Shion giggled at that. I think Lady Kami would be willing to do that for you, Mama. She said innocently, making Naruto pale as Shion glommed onto him. The next day, Itachi brought Naruto, Jiraiya and Shisui with him into the council chambers where Mei, Ao, Chojuro and Zabuza were representing Kiri. Raza showed up with Gaara, Kankuro and Baki, who were followed shortly by Darui, Yugito, B and Shi. As everyone sat down, Itachi nodded to Naruto, who stood up to inform them why they were called. I asked you here today to notify you of a development and to form a hunting party to end the war. Naruto said forcefully, which earned stirs and slight cracks in the stoic masks of the cage. What changed, Naruto? Raza asked. When I entered I and B's fight against Madara, I placed a Harashin marker on him. I cannot feel it from this far away, but I will be able to feel it if I am close enough. Naruto answered. So, you are just going to run around the world until you feel it? Mei asked dubiously. No, I am going to run through Iwa. I don't have many markers in that country, and I should be able to sense it more clearly. Naruto answered. You are going to run through the country that hates you the most. The same country we are at war with? Itachi questioned incredulously. Yup. Naruto answered simply. Me and 100 clones or so. Raza rubbed his temples while Gaara and Kankuro snickered behind him. And how are we supposed to reinforce you if you do this? You will be alone in enemy territory, and we don't even know if Madara is in Earth country. Well, he is not in Rain country, I confirmed that yesterday. Naruto admitted with a shrug of his shoulders. He is also not at his old base of operations. That points me to Earth country. Your part will purely be a scouting mission, correct? Itachi asked hopefully. At first, Naruto answered devilishly, but he was forced to continue when everyone looked at him expectantly. I will locate him, and we can zether elite forces with the teleporters. You guys will likely move in from the Suna border and I will go straight to my beacon. What will we do to detect the white Zetsu? Darui asked since he knew the chaos those damnable creatures caused. My siblings volunteered to take part in these operations. They can each use Sage Mode and detect negative emotions, to an extent. Naruto informed the council. To be clear, those were your previous alters, right? Mei asked hesitantly. Technically, yes. Although, I would like to point out they are no longer bound to me, and they are completely self-sustaining. And they will be able to detect the white Zetsu. Darui asked for confirmation and Naruto nodded. Itachi sighed and rubbed his eyes. Why do this now? Why let Madara keep the initiative? Why let him strike us separately? I can find him, and I will end him. Naruto answered passionately. How are we to prevent his spatial movement or prevent him from fleeing? Itachi continued the questioning. Naruto threw several bundles of sealed tags on the desk. Spread out and have shinobi power those. During the search, I will put their sister tags around the northwestern border of Iwa. I will lock the whole country down. This will take 200 shinobi out of the fight, but there you go. 200 shinobi to lock down a whole country. Mei asked with a confused look on her face that just made her look even cuter. This is just locking the spacetime within a set space. The tags pull most of the required energy from natural energy, but they require a shinobi conduit to counterbalance the natural energy. It was the best I could do with the time I had. Naruto informed the cage. Unbelievable. Raza muttered. Just lock the space, it's as simple as that, he. Frickin' Uzumaki's. Gaara put a supportive and understanding hand on his rambling father's shoulder while Kankuro snickered. Raza, can we begin teleporting shinobi quietly to Suna? I would like at least 2,000 or 3,000 to participate in this. Itachi asked. Darui stepped in. Kumo would like all Bolt officials and Jonin to join this operation. They number 1,500. That is a lot of people to send through the teleporters. We have to do it that way, otherwise the Zetsu will detect the troop movements. Itachi cautioned. We will power the teleporters. B said in a serious tone as he stepped forward. We will do it for free. I will go to Suna and power theirs to compensate for all of the required chakra. No need to do it alone, B. Gaara said with an understanding smile on his face. We can do it in shifts. Just get half of your people across first and then you can take over for me. Okay, so that's 150 jumps from Kumo. I would say I have 500 that I want to send, so another 50 jumps. May. Itachi ended with a question. Kiri will participate. I will match Konoha and commit 500. Some of those will be Chunin though, our forces are still recovering from the war. May said with a slight bit of shame. Don't press yourself, May. Naruto started. I do not want individuals joining when they are unprepared. Naruto is right, the white Zetsu will turn him into a liability. Itachi backed up his student. Then, I can commit 300. May said with her head hung low. That is more than enough. Naruto answered happily before turning serious again. Look, here is the thing. Madara sealed the Gedo Mazo, which contains the Sanbi, Gobi and Rokubi, into himself. They still don't equal me alone, but part of the fight will be extracting the Gedo Mazo. To control the statue I will need to take Madara's eyes. Say what? May asked in confusion. Come again. Raza added. The Gedo Mazo is the husk of the Juubi and only a Rinnegan wielder can control it. I am not going to leave the Biju trapped in that damned statue. Naruto answered with fire in his tone. Sai, can you pull it off? Itachi asked. Naruto shrugged. It will make things tougher, but I should be able to. Okay, craziness aside, what will the allied forces be doing? May asked, trying to get back on task. Kurama and Chome watched from within the seal as the plan formed. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't foolproof, in fact, it was pretty rough. There were plenty of holes and it depended heavily on the element of surprise. The allies had numbers and passion on their side though. It was amazing to see how seriously each village took the death of a Kage. The troop movements began shortly following the return of the Kage to their respective villages and the final clash was imminent. Do you think he can use Father's eyes? Chome asked Kurama. Kurama scoffed, of course he can. He already has mastery over 4 of the domains and if he were an Uchiha the damned eyes would have evolved into the Rinnegan long ago. His vitality and chakra are more than enough to bear the burden of the Rinnegan. Chome chitted nervously, do you think he should take them? This question was different to Kurama. This was a far more introspective question and Kurama admitted that he took a while to think this answer over. I don't know. I trust him to make the right decision. Back at the Senju compound, Naruto went to inform the family of the plans. Evidently, Yosuke and Haku came from Wave after Yami told them about Naruto's plan. They both demanded to be part of the attacking force and Naruto relented. Naruto took this opportunity to inform them of what he wanted them to do. He was going to attach them to shinobi divisions to protect them from the threat of the White Zetsu. This made Tsunade nervous, but nobody could talk the Senju family out of mobilizing. Shien pulled him aside after hearing his plan and she looked at him with frigidity locked in her golden orbs. You will not take those eyes. Naruto edged his head and looked at her in confusion. Why? I need to free the Biju from the demonic statue of the outer path. Shien bonked Naruto on the head. Barker, did you have the Rinnegan when you pulled them out of the statue last time around? No. Then why would you need it this time around? Shien pressed. Because Madara sealed the statue in himself, plus, I don't have any of their chakra, so I won't be able to link with them and pull them out of the statue, Naruto answered softly and unsurely. Barker, if you defeat Madara, your first mission for Kami is accomplished. Just focus on defeating that zombie. Shien said firmly, and make sure you come back to me, we still need to get married and have our eternal test run. She ended by pulling Naruto by the collar of his shirt and placed a passionate K on his lips. Well, I wouldn't say no to some more practice, Naruto whispered huskily into Shien's ear. The earthly representation of the goddess of creation shook her head and enjoyed her night with Naruto. It wasn't her place to get involved in earthly wars or the affairs of mortal men. Except her man, but he was clearly an exception to the rule. That didn't stop her from her nervous agitation caused by her visions. Kami had disabled her omnipotence for the experiment, but Shien's body still had the power of the third eye. She was still able to see people's deaths, and as the day of battle neared, her visions became more and more frequent, and she simply hoped that Naruto would not be in one of them. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.